No, I'm Not a Human is a horror game I found out about recently, actually. It caught my attention instantly with the premise of human imposters. At first glance, this game isn't actually very scary, but the more you play it, you'll realize the horrors of this world and the uncanny valley the visitors bring to the game. There have been so many games, movies, and TV shows to try to replicate this trope. Most media fails, but No, I'm Not a Human succeeds at this with flying colors. Its very subtle narrative and fun gameplay loop adds to the horror of this game. And actually, on that note, I want to mention how much I love how little we know about these so-called visitors. A lot of horror games tend to, for some reason, over-explain the antagonistic presence of the game. This game beautifully gives us just enough lore and info on these creatures that kind of look like germs to satiate our lust for lore. But back to the actual game. It starts with you, the player, getting a visit from your neighbor. He informs you of what's going on, that the sun has become unstable. There is these so-called creatures either rising from the ground or coming from space. This guy's basically your tutorial on what to do for the first night. He tells you to let people in because isolation is the only thing more dangerous than the visitors. This game's gameplay is akin to Papers, Please, but with a horror twist to it. You have to interrogate people and find out if they show tells of being a visitor. What are those tells, you may ask? Well, they're super sneaky and you'll probably never guess what they are. It's white teeth. And red eyes. Yeah, the tells in this game are more related to someone with good hygiene and caffeine addicts. It is actually very interesting in lore though, as you're actually playing with your morality. Because someone might have a tell that might just come from them living a certain lifestyle or not. Like, let's take for example the gravedigger. He works with dirt, just like me, and he has to dig for hours at a time. But if he has dirt under his fingernails, just another tell by the way. Wouldn't it make more sense for him, since he's a gravedigger? It makes sense for him to have dirt under his fingernails, right? So you have to use some common sense to know if someone's tell makes sense on them or not. As the days go on, you get new information about these tells through the news broadcasts on your TV. Honestly, it's nothing complicated, but after a few days, it does become a bit difficult to find the exact tells of certain people. Also, some characters are guaranteed to either be human or visitors. Although I would suggest not looking this up until after you've played the game for a while, because otherwise you just spoil the fun. But since I put my big boy pants on and have over 5 hours on the game, I already know most of the so-called guaranteed visitors and humans. So it's pretty efficient to know which characters are guaranteed humans. So you can, let them in and not spend energy on them and, potentially, just not let them kill your little homies.
You'd be surprised who these characters are, so I'll just give a little bit of info on 2 of them.
You see this big hunk over here? Yeah, he is one of, if not the first guest that will knock on your door. And by using common sense, you'd come to the conclusion that, this is an obvious visitor, right? Judging by his creepy proportion as weirdly aggressive remarks. But no, this guy's a guaranteed human. So it subverts your expectations of the game and gives you some uneasiness since there's really nothing to tell who's a human or not. Some of these guaranteed visitors have really good lore to tell. Like the crazy looking cashier lady. She tells you about how she got home one day to find strange people in her home. Well, she thought it was her neighbor's friends, but since they were visitors, they just kept her locked in. She somehow managed to escape to find herself knocked out on a beach. Although it seems like she has an alibi, things start to crack fast. Because she can't recall on many things in her story. And worst of all, she doesn't know how she survived the scorching hot sun outside when she got knocked out on the beach. So what do you do when you're ambivalent if someone is actually a human in this game? You shoot to kill. All these characters have their own stories to tell, and it's a big part of the game. As the days go on, you get to see some tidbits of lore from characters. Like the old beardy guy who experienced an encounter with the Pale Visitor. The Pale One is more or less the main antagonist of the game. He comes to your door at the start of Night 3 and gives you some creepy and disturbing dialogue.
Howdy.
I am not letting you in.
Is your door nice and sturdy? Never know what might happen to it. you understand?
I've got a gun.
Delicious. Despair gives courage to the coward, yes. So, you
This creepy entity is toying with us, the player character. And this starting dialogue is honestly something that gave me shivers the first time around. With the music, atmosphere, and his uncanny valley design, it really gave me a sense of dread and that he could kill me at any moment. More about him later. After a few nights, this new government faction starts up, known as FEMA, or better known as the fucking embarrassing the Federal Emergency Management Agency. Yeah. What joy do they bring? FEMA is this faction that tries to take action. Sorry, that rhymed. FEMA is this faction that tries to take action on the arrival of the visitors by doing some weird and sketchy experiments that are not directly told to us. They are a shady bunch, coming every few days to our door to ask for samples, and by samples, I mean uprooting people you've let into your home. You can either choose to comply with this oppressive regime or be outspoken and not take shit from them. Sadly, the same events unfold either way, but it's about the principle, okay? There are quite a few endings to this game. I'm not going to talk about all of them in this video because I'd rather you, the viewer, experience them yourselves. They're damn good endings, and that's just playing the game and getting finishing all of them. There are also these cool visual Easter eggs you can decide to see by going to one of the 3 windows at night. They give you a little bit more insight on the world around you. This might be my favorite addition to this game. Each night, the visual changes. One night, you look through and see your dear old neighbor playing with his kid, and on some other nights, you might see something a bit more menacing.
you still hold up here, I see. What did you think of that guy? The one in the suit.
I don't know how to feel about him.
Why feel at all? Everything's been decided for us. A blessing, wouldn't you say? Or do you want to fix it all by yourself?
I'm doing what I can.
What exactly can you do? Can you ward off death? Stop the floods, the fires, any day? The only thing you can stop is a heartbeat. Listen. You alone.
What the fuck? Okay. I guess I'll just continue. I guess now is as good a time as any to talk about the Pale One. He's the main source of fear we get from this game, appearing every few nights to give us his TED Talk, giving us a bit more insight on what the hell these visitors want, obviously in his own vague terms. He's this tall, pale figure who looks like his skin doesn't match the size of his body. He apparently only goes after people who are alone in their homes, but there is evidence showing otherwise. But there's one sentence in the Pale Visitor's dialogue that puts shivers down my spine. He reveals that he is not the one in charge. He is not the one pulling the strings. He is just a middle manager in some sense. He doesn't want to be there. He doesn't want to interact with you. He is forced to. He is ordered to. What are we dealing with in this game? He mentions it in passing, and we see it for a split second. This dark, demonic figure rustling through the grass. We have no idea what this is. The game never explains it. They only hint that there's this bigger threat out there somewhere that we can't do anything about. If the visitors are already on top, this other creature here is just the cherry on top. I love this kind of storytelling. We assume these visitors are like the prime species in some sense, but no, they are being controlled. I love this. I really hope they never fully explain what this monster, this figure is, because that leaves so much up for the imagination and it scares you that much more. Also, I forgot to mention it at the start, but the starting sequence of this game sets the mood perfectly for how and what the game will feel like. It's not just terror, it has a sense of dread and melancholiness that really elevates the experience. As you go through the game, you learn more about the player character, how he's isolated, alone, has a complicated relationship with his family, and especially his father. Without having a voice, this character's inner dialogue speaks volumes. He has pent-up trauma, anxiety, depression, and he doesn't know how to deal with it. That's why I love this game. It mixes in horror with a big spoonful of the way humans can suffer in isolation. The game itself is most likely a commentary on how people don't deal with issues of loneliness, and how even if you aren't physically alone, you can still be lonely.
Well, that was fucking stupid.
This game is still a horror game, though. It can tell the saddest, most depressing crybaby story, but we're still in it for the horror itself. At least I am. Sadly, nothing can really scare me, and I'll probably live forever. I just can't see myself actually dying.
Feel that change is haunting you. So am I. And now one of your ilk is deathless. All because of a word. One single word. But what a word it is. You know what I mean? Yes. Strange things happen around you.
I don't feel anything.
Must be tough. Sounds like you need help. Why don't we try something new? A gamble of sorts. But there are at least 2 of us inside your house. You'll look at the door for me, because dogs reside in their bodies now.
I don't understand.
It's simple. Let's give it a try. But first, you alone.
I'm alone.
Yes, our gamble is paying off. Come with me.